What's up, everybody? It's Thursday, and it's time for Tower Talk, March 4th, 2021. This week at Bungie, the TWAB is another kind of short one, but it's actually packed with a whole bunch of good stuff. Before we dive into that, I wanted to touch on Hotfix 3102. There's not really much to know about all of that this week, except that there's a bunch of minor bug fixes. And actually, I mean, some of them are things that affected like rewards and battlegrounds and stuff like that. So if you're curious about what exactly was in that hotfix, you can check out the article on the Bungie news page. But we're not going to go through it because it's just a bunch of really small stuff. It doesn't really affect anything. There's no buffs or nerfs, changes to systems, nothing like that. So you don't even need to worry about it. Okay, getting into the TWAB. Of course, you all know the big buzz around the community this week has been people figuring out how to cram up to 12 players into activities meant for only one fire team. What is it, up to 12 people in a raid and up to 9 people in the 3-player activities, like, Nightfalls or Presage or, whatever it is. And I have to tell you, I tried that with all of my friends. I tweeted pictures last weekend of us getting into the Deepstone Crypt. We had 10 people. We didn't have enough people to get 12, but we had a full 10 Guardians in the Deepstone Crypt. And the funny thing is that you would think that having 10 people in the Deepstone Crypt would make Atrax easy, and it couldn't be further from the truth. Like, if anything, it made me really respect the design of the raids and the quality, the mechanics, the difficulty, because just because we had more of us didn't mean that you couldn't, that you could not pay attention to mechanics and different things like that. You needed to respect how the raid worked if you wanted to do it. Now, when we got to DPSs and things like that, sure, it was easier with 10 Guardians. Ridiculously so. But the road to executing that absolutely had to be respected, even though we had so many people. So I just wanted to put that out there. Like, mad respect to Bungie, because even with so many Guardians shoehorned into a raid, it still took us a little bit. And the other thing that was funny is it's like it was so many voices, right? 6 players is enough. And then you add 4 to 6 more, and there's just so much going on that, again, we go back to respecting the mechanics and stuff. Like, to be able to execute, you have to have control over yourself and really, like, be listening to each other and making sure that the quiet that you need is there. Because the more players that you add, like, the harder that gets. So I just thought I would share that with you guys, because it was both fun and challenging in a different and unexpected way. So, continuing about the 12-player raid hype, Bungie says that they're really glad that we're enjoying ourselves, number one, and that they're not going to rush out a fix for this 12-player raid, 9-player Nightfall stuff. They're totally fine with us trying it out and having fun. But, of course, it comes with a warning that activities that we're doing this with are not created to have that many people in them. And it could create technical weirdness. I know I didn't see anything in the Deepstone Crypt, so, I mean, honestly, if you're wanting to try one of these things, doing it with the raid was actually really good. Although we did notice, I don't know if I would call it technical weirdness, but we did notice that, like, the doors, the airlock doors in the Deepstone Crypt, they absolutely would not respond until all 10 of us were inside, where normally, like, if a couple people were further back, you could still cycle through the airlock. They absolutely would not cycle unless all 10 people were in there. And that was true for the airlocks after Atrax as well. So, just something to keep in mind. And of course, if you have a friend that has trouble with the jumping puzzle, well, you can't leave and then come back. You're not able to rejoin. So, once you're in there, and that's it. Can't invite anybody. Can't come back in if you leave, get booted, whatever it is. Bungie says that they're planning on fixing this glitch before the Grandmaster Nightfalls start. That's going to be March 16th. So you have until March 16th to party up with 11 other friends and wreck your way through a raid. And after that, they're going to have to patch it. But really, if you have not experienced this yet, you really, really, really need to. It was fun and weird and interesting and chaotic, and you should definitely check it out if you're able to. And take some pictures, for crying out loud, because it may never happen again. The next section is I was super, super pleased that Bungie is going to be commemorating International Women's Day. And they're making an addition to their diversity and inclusion pin series. If you recall, we have the Pride pin and we have the Black Lives Matter pin that are both excellent. They're adding to that an International Women's Day pin, and it's the same deal. It's the Bungie fist and lightning bolt shield logo done in the International Women's Day colors, and it's actually available for pre-order right now. Reminder that 100% of the profits from the purchase of that pin will be donated to organizations dedicated to combating the patterns of historic discrimination, harassment, and abuse of women, as well as to helping women pursue careers in the gaming and tech industry. All during the month of March, profits are going to be donated to AnitaB.org, which I'm actually familiar with. It's really great. I really like how Bungie does their research about which organizations they partner with for these different issues and holidays and things like that. And they really make sure that it goes to something specific that helps and not necessarily just the popular one, which is not always the best one. So thank you, Bungie. As a woman, this one really hits home with me. And I'm very, very happy to see this. And I'll be very, very proud to add that International Women's Day pin to my collection. So thank you very much. Let's see. Moving on. Well, let's see. We have a new follower. Let's see if I can say your screen name right. Vania, thank you so very much for the follow. I appreciate you. Welcome to the stream. And I see you now in chat. You said that you did do the 12-man raid run and you did it for Garden of Salvation. Wow, I would be curious to hear from you how Garden of Salvation went for you. I'm just having recently done that raid for the first time myself. Yeah, that must have been kind of crazy. And I'm glad that you got a chance to participate in that and see how interesting it was. Let's see. Back on topic. We'll check back in with the chat after the next segment. Thank you all for watching and participating. This is really a fun way to do this now. Bungie, in the next segment, addresses something that I have noticed still being a huge issue, which is that enemies are teleporting around an awful lot in the game. Especially in things like Battlegrounds and Gambit, and they've been investigating it, and they did come up with a really, really great way of explaining what's happening, and it kind of is what I suspected was going on. But I'm going to read this part to you, because I can't, like, TLDR this any better than the way that they explained it. So, let's see. There are several reasons why AI can teleport in Destiny. For example, we would rather teleport a boss that is stuck behind a door than have a player be unable to finish a mission. However, we believe that the most recent uptick has been caused by new issues with some of our networking logic. Now, this is what I'm talking about. I did have a feeling that it was sort of a network issue, but not the one that you think. I'm not talking about the desync that can happen like when packets lag or something like that. It's actually something different. So they go on to explain that one of the big changes that they recently made is that they did have two streams of network traffic, right? One was gameplay, simulation stuff, and, like AI. And the other one was handling things like music, mission objectives, dialogue, and so on. When we got our Prime update, 3.0.0, that traffic was combined into a single network data stream, right? You guys kind of might remember that, okay? They said think of it as having two highways for different types of cars, and then one day you close one highway and plan to have one wider highway to handle all the cars. Unfortunately, we underestimated how much additional traffic there would be, and they're going to have to do some work to add lanes to the highway, okay? That's what's going on. They also said that a specific thing that's affecting this is the Cabal enemies wielding flamethrowers this season. And if you know even like a little bit about game design, you would know that fire in particular causes a lot of problems. Its rendering is very, very, very resource intensive. So I can kind of see what's happening there. And so they're saying, like, you know, continuing with their highway analogy, flamethrowers are like tanker trucks, notoriously taxing, and in this case are creating a lot of network usage. They do have some improvements for their efficiency that should help, and that update is scheduled for later this month. They go on to talk about how they've created encounters with a lot of enemies for the season, and while we're all having lots and lots of fun with this enemy density, spawning all of that AI quickly, especially in some of the battlegrounds, might also be contributing to this teleporting issue because the network pipelines are trying to handle the load and they're struggling a little bit. And continuing their analogy, spawning enemies rapidly is like a big sporting event driving up traffic, right? You got lots of people going to the arena, you're getting a traffic jam, right? So it makes sense. So in the end, they're saying that they're working on improvements to help streamline that traffic, and it should reduce the amount of teleporting, but it'll never be completely gone because, like I mentioned before, there's some teleporting happening, you know, to us because of internet hiccups where it's more like packets and overall connectivity, and it's not anything to do with the network data stream. And I think even I can see, like, when I'm playing, what the difference is between these ones that are caused by the pipeline lag and the ones that are just me dropping a packet for some reason, right? But anyway, they're hoping to reduce the frequency of that, and they're looking at some targeted content fixes where enemies are spawned better so that it doesn't initiate a teleport because of issues with their pathing or whatever it is. And definitely, too, I can see that some of it is being caused by pathing. The behavior is just different than ones that are caused by network lag. So, anyway, the Deep Stone deep dives. I really, really, really hope that all of you have gotten the opportunity by now to check out the Deep Stone Crypt deep dive that Bungie broadcast on, I think it was yesterday? It was yesterday morning at 10 a.m. I just got through watching it myself. I watched back the VOD on their Twitch channel, and it was really, really cool to see, you know, the concept art, and I always really enjoy hearing them talk about things like, you know, why did we do the Sparrow encounter at the beginning? Why did we do this encounter this way? What were the challenges? What were weird things that broke when we were trying to make it work? And there's all of those kinds of things in there and more. And I really encourage all of you to check it out just so that you can have an idea of some of the work that goes in. And it's really fun to see, like, these basic builds that they use to figure things out. I think people don't realize that, you know, when they're building these things that we love, that we only see finished, right? We only see the end product. A lot of times they're figuring out mechanics and testing systems when the play field that they're working on is like gray boxes and like a green sphere for a DPS location or something like that. And they literally have nothing else because art hasn't been filled in. They're just working out systems in basic animation. And it's really fascinating stuff. So if if you're even mildly interested in video games, you should definitely check that out. And there was also an article that they published. I believe it's also available on the main Bungie news page, where they talk more about all those topics for the Deep Stone Crypt in a little more depth than what is gone into in the video deep dive. So definitely watch the deep dive, and do yourself a favor. If you can handle reading a wall of text, read the deep dive article as well. They're both super, super good. Then I noticed they're giving us an early preview of the Festival of the Lost armor concept art. And this time it seems like it's down to a couple different things. There's sort of a movie monsters armor set, and then the other armor set is dinosaur inspired, and Bungie is asking us to please come and fill out a survey and vote on whether we want monsters or dinosaurs. And I actually want to hear from you guys in the chat right now. What do you want to see? Do you like the movie monster set, or do you like the dinosaurs? And I mean, even if you haven't looked at it yet, what do you want? Do you want movie monsters, or do you want dinosaurs? I mean, look, here's my 2 cents on this topic, okay? We've had monsters and spooky things for pretty much every Festival of the Lost, okay? And I love those themes, and I thought last year was probably the closest that we got to having, like, really the monster themes that I like to see for festival. And I mean, that's the most in keeping with Halloween, right? But then I have to sit back and say, okay, wait a minute now. Festival of the Lost, strictly speaking, isn't just Halloween. And we've done monsters. We've done it a lot. I'm voting dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs. I've always loved dinosaurs. And frankly, the concept art for these dinosaur suits looks pretty cool. I want to be friggin' Reptar with a rocket launcher and a submachine gun. Okay? And get in there and get after it. So I'm voting dinosaurs. I hope all of you that are dinosaur lovers out there will vote dinosaurs too. There's nothing wrong with movie monsters. I just feel like the sets aren't as cool as what we've had. Okay, I'm going to start with that. Not as cool as what we've had. And the dinosaur suits are pretty cool. So let's just go with that. Okay, that's what I'm voting. Let's see, what do we got next here? What do we got next? Prime Gaming rewards. Just to review real quick what the new rewards are. We've got the Imperial Projection, Ghost Projection. We've got the 6-shooter exotic emote. Definitely, it's worth picking up this Prime Gaming loot drop if you did not have 6-shooter. That's the one where your Guardian, whips out their pistol and shoots the bottles. That one is worth having. We've got the Warrior Steed Exotic Sparrow, another kind of cool one. It's a little bit Star Wars-esque. Think of Rey's speeder, right? Kind of cool. And then the Oviraptor Exotic Ship. So that's your Prime Gaming loot drop this time. Okay, so that's pretty much going to do it for the TWAB, I think. Oh, I forgot one thing. Looking at the known issues list, there is a note about Trials of Osiris, which I have recently become interested in because you can actually get loot from Trials even if you struggle to win. There's that bounty that gives you the 3-win award, right? So they say here that Trials of Osiris was disabled due to an unexpected issue. That issue was the win trading Hake emblem scandal. A lot of people thought it was the cramming multiple guardians in, but it was not. It was the win trading thing. So they said, while these issues are being investigated, Trials of Osiris will be unavailable to players. We will have more information when it becomes available. What I am taking from that right now is that Trials is probably not going to happen this weekend. And it might not happen the weekend after that. It depends on what happens with this issue. And I'm kind of bummed because, let's see, I've picked up Astral Horizon. I've picked up The Messenger. And I'm really hoping to get my hands on the Summoner and Igneous Hammer, the new hand cannon. And it looks like I'm gonna have to wait. And I just hope that this can get resolved in a reasonable amount of time so that I can get my hands on at least one roll of both of those. Sorry to all of you guys that enjoy your sweaty trials, but it looks like it could be a while before it comes back. We have yet another issue blocking the playing of trials, so that's really unfortunate. Vania, you're about to do Last Wish? You mean you're about to do Last Wish with 12? I hope it's a 12. A 12-player Riven Cheese would be amazing. Oh my gosh, you're making me want to try that right now. It sounds super fun. Okay, so moving on from the TWAB then. I've got my little notes here for y'all. So, the Aeon Cult Exotics. If you recall, I believe it was in one of the TWABs, the Aeon Swift, Aeon Soul, and whatever the Titan one is called, exotic arms have been completely revamped. I always thought that the idea of the Aeon Cult Exotics was interesting, where they kind of did something for you, but then when you did that action, it had benefit to other people wearing the Aeon Cult Exotics, right? But it just was never strong enough or interesting enough, you know, for anyone to ever actually really use it, which in the back of my mind, I always thought it was a shame. It was kind of like wasted potential, right? So then Bungie says, look, we know that this missed the mark, and we want to redesign these, and we want to have it, relevant to Armor 2.0 and how that is now. So the gist of it is the Aeon Cult Exotics have the synergy with each other. The change that they made is that there's 3 different mods that you can choose from. And each one does a different thing. And they sort of did that either or thing where it's like, here's the thing that benefits you when you wear them and, use your abilities or whatever it is. And then when you do certain things, this is what it benefits your teammates. Right? When you do certain things, this is how it's going to benefit your teammates. And if they're wearing a different mod than you, that's when they get the benefit. If they're wearing the same one as you, they don't. So that's the other thing, and that's sort of like the plot twist, right? So the best way to use them is for everybody in the fire team to use a different mod. In your fire team of 3 to use a different mod so that you're synergizing with each other and helping each other out and everybody's reaping those benefits, right? I think that they're pretty cool now. I wouldn't say that they're a best choice over everything, but I mean, look, my 2 closest friends and I have been doing Nightfalls with those on and really, really having a lot of fun. And like in particular, abusing the Sect of Insight mod, because I have one friend that is always doing finishers on the champions, right? He's always doing finishers on the champions. So when I saw that Sect of Insight, I'm like, Jalon, dude, you need to use this Sect of Insight mod. Get in there and do finnies. And what it does is, like, if he does it on an orange bar, we get special ammo. So, those of us using snipers or grenade launchers, we're always ammoed up. But then if you do it on, like, bosses, mini-bosses, champions, it generates heavy ammo. And, I mean, we're talking about, like, a couple bricks worth. And then the other thing it does is you get a temporary buff to weapon damage. And that temporary buff is about 20 seconds worth of damage. I think that's better than, like, full Rampage times 3. I mean, it's really strong. You just start mowing stuff down. You can definitely tell that the redesign of these Aeon Cultist armor pieces was done around use in things like the Nightfall. And I mean, probably like dungeons too. But they do have specific benefits. Like one of them I know is it gives your fire team a bonus when champions are staggered and stuff. Like clearly they meant for you to use them in the Nightfall mostly. But we've been having fun with them everywhere. And it, like I said, it's definitely best when every member of the fire team is wearing a different sect mod so that everybody's benefiting like they should. And yeah, I mean, try to apply them to who does what kind of role the best. Like, I was using the one that gives benefits from reviving my teammates, and like they would get an overshield when I would throw my super, so we would time it so that I was doing that and then they were shielded so they could get in there and rip it up. And like we had my friend using his insight one, like I said, because he's the one that's good at getting in and doing finishers on champions. And like, okay, I'll give you an example in closing on this topic. We were doing the Warden of Nothing Nightfall, right? And the way that we learned to set it up is he would do the finisher on the barrier champion, would save the barrier champion for last. He'd do the finisher. We'd make sure we were ammoed up and we'd have that damage buff, right? And then as soon as he would spawn and we'd have, I don't know, like 15 seconds left on the damage buff, I'd throw my super so everybody was over-shielded up, damage buff is going, and we would just burn down that servitor boss, like with our weapons. Super would hit him, we'd still have the damage buff, and we would just melt the crap out of him what was left. So, I mean, it's really, really fun, and there was this really fun, like, communicating with each other and timing things, and like, oh, like, yeah, do that so I can do this, or dude, like, I need a finny so I can get ammo. Like, it was really, really cool. So I encourage you to try it, especially if you have a couple of close friends that you play with a lot and you really know how each other play. I think you could definitely have a lot of fun with it. Definitely have a lot of fun with it. And who knows, maybe it'll become a thing for you. We really liked it. It suited the way that we all play. So, and I noticed that shaders are going to become permanent unlocks again. And it got me to thinking. I wonder if one of the motivating factors behind this is sunsetting. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. We're undoing sunsetting, which means that we're going to be able to hold on to weapons for a long time again. And I don't know about y'all, but the space left in my vault is shrinking. I'm at, 355 of 500. And I have to wonder if what is finally forcing them to put shaders back to being permanent is that instead of using that inventory space, which is essentially memory space, instead of using that inventory space for shaders, are we going to get those 50 slots added to our vault? Those 50 slots that we're not going to have to use for shaders anymore. It would be super, super cool if that turned into 50 vault slots. So I'm predicting it now. Let's see if it comes true. Shaders go permanent, we get 50 vault slots. Cross your fingers, guys, because I know I need it, and you probably do too. And I'm going to bang this drum again. I see a lot of people talking about putting the Trials of the 9 weapons in Prophecy, and every time I see that, I go crazy, because I totally agree. Trials of the 9 is not coming back. Put those weapons in Prophecy. Like, it'd be cool if they had random rolls, but don't even do that, man. Like, just put them in Prophecy, because I don't think even that many people got them. You know what I'm saying? And they were from an era of Destiny where we weren't as powerful. And it would just be cool to be able to get that cool 9-themed stuff out of that dungeon. Don't know why we didn't do it in the first place. Juvania, you're excited for permanent shaders. So am I, because I remember what it was like in the Taken King days when your shaders were permanent. The only thing I would say, I kind of forgot to talk about this, is that I would really, really love it, really, really love it, if they let us favorite our favorite shaders, because I was thinking about like how many shaders are in Destiny 2. And it's going to be super duper hard to find the ones that you like, even if you know exactly what they're called. So kind of hoping there's a plan for that. But I'm looking forward to not spending resources on that stuff anymore. Like not having to go pull one out of the collection if I need more. Not even because I'm spending materials on it, but just because it's kind of a hassle. And like, just it being easier. Not having to manage them and having like a full inventory and stuff going to the postmaster. Like, I'm going to enjoy sort of being rid of that. Even if nothing else comes of it. Even if I'm totally wrong about the vault space thing. I just am going to be glad to get rid of kind of that particular hassle. And I'm sure you probably are too. The Bottomless Grief perk. This is something that you'll notice dropping on the new Nightfall weapons. I actually think that it's kind of cool, and I'm wondering why I haven't heard more about it, because I had an experience that it makes it seem like it would be pretty strong if you're trying to solo something. I ended up getting left alone in the arms dealer strike. And so I was all alone at the end, and I think everybody knows that strike can be kind of unfun when you don't have help, even at like normal difficulties. And what Bottomless Grief does basically is, if you're the last member of your fire team that's alive, every enemy you kill loads your magazine full from reserves. So I guess it's kind of like when you're a Titan wearing Actium War Rig, right? Think of it that way. So any weapon that has that, all of a sudden you're Actium War Rigging it up if you're the last Guardian standing. And I think my experience, especially in hard activities, is that a lot of times you die because, oops, I'm out of bullets and I'm reloading and I can't survive through my reload and I die. And that was exactly the experience I had in that arms dealer strike, getting left alone. There were enemies everywhere. And I whooped out my swarm machine gun, and I just was able to, like, take everything down, and the magazine kept filling up, and I was able to stay alive. And definitely, like, if I had to reload, like, that pack of dogs that was chasing me, man, I would have been dead. The war beast, you know? The war beast dog things. I would have been dead. But I never had to reload, and so I stayed alive. And the thing was, I wasn't quote-unquote last Guardian standing, really. I was in there alone. There was nobody else that had loaded in there yet. I was the only Guardian on the roster, and it was procced by that scenario as well, because according to the game code, that's still last Guardian standing. So it was in effect, and it was working. And I'm just thinking, you guys that are soloers out there, you might want to consider things with Bottomless Grief for your runs. I wouldn't, like, dismiss it. I'm not saying that it's ultra better than anything else per se, but I'm saying that good weapons that have Bottomless Grief might be something to look at. I'm just putting it out there, okay? And last but not least, our Nightfall this week is Fallen Saber. That's a reprisal of the old Destiny 1 Fallen Saber strike. Biggest change is that Mr. Shank at the end has like DPS gates. You can only damage him so much before a shield comes up, right? A lot of people not liking that, but I don't know, man. Like, I kind of enjoy it because you have to get through the encounter and, like, work with the room and all of that stuff. So I don't really mind it. A lot of people have also been saying, it's kind of short, they should have added more enemies and stuff, but I don't know. Look, I always really liked Fallen Saber. I'm really excited to have it back. And in working on the Nightfall and sort of practicing for our 100K run that's going to come up and possibly doing Grandmasters later, I'm telling you right now that Risk Runner in Fallen Saber is insane because there's so much lightning. You are constantly procced, like constantly just shredding stuff with chain lightning the entire time. And that alone, I was having such a good time. And if you're wondering about my loadout, I'm a Warlock, okay. And I was using Risk Runner. And then I was using Devour. So, like, for the Warsat part at the beginning, which is still kind of hard, by the way, not gonna lie, I would wait for the dropship to come in, consume my grenade, right? So Devour's active. And then just Risk Runner the shit out of everything. With the chain lightning, like, stuff was dying all over the place, and my health bar just kept refilling until it was over. Another thing I saw that was interesting, because I didn't really know what to use for my heavy. I have a Code Duello rocket launcher that has that, what's the perk called? It's the one where the rocket sticks to whatever you shoot it at and does extra damage. Not just in that strike, but I'm telling you, if you're struggling with champions, a rocket launcher that has that is really cool because you can stun them and then stick them with a rocket, and a lot of times one of those will kill them. And then like that I was alone working on that, right? But when you got teammates, oh my gosh, like I used that same thing, that code duello, when I was doing a legendary Lost Sector yesterday. And I was struggling with the champions, and then I switched to code duello and did the same thing I was doing in Fallen Saber, where I would stick those champions, and boom, I got them. So I encourage you to find one of those and try it. It's definitely working. And I mean, look, the Fallen Saber final room, I don't care what you say. I love how it like transforms and the lightning is like turning on and off in different places. I still think that that's a really cool final room. It seems, I guess, kind of quaint now because Destiny was kind of a simpler game. Not necessarily easier. It was just different back then. You know what I mean? We've grown a lot in power and ability and systems since then, and so I guess it seems a little simplified and quaint. But I still really like the idea of that room. I still really like playing that, and I would love to see that same idea, like, taken up a notch to compete with where we are now. You know what I mean? So I hope going forward, that's something that we can see. That's going to do it for Tower Talk today, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this new live format. I really liked having someone in the chat. I hope that more of you will join me every week. And until next time, stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Be excellent to each other. And I will see all of you Starside.